Trump has been going after Ilhan Omar pretty hard the past week. Of course we love it. Hit that like button if you enjoy it. And she decided to go on CNN to defend her case. And she did a terrible job. Not only did she not address the elephant in the room that Trump is accusing her of, which, if it wasn't true, you'd think she'd defend it, but two, she got caught in a simple lie. Even though Jake Tapper doesn't want to address it, I will. And it's so obvious, so blatant, and it just proves what we all think about her. It's itsSeanDaniel here. Comment down below the word liar in all caps. Liar, 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 liar. I want to see that down in the comments because that's the one word I would use to describe Ilhan Omar. Let's go.
Internationally, new video shows Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino on the ground in the suburbs of New Orleans today. This is the first day of the immigration crackdown in that city, with the Department of Homeland Security aiming to make more than 5,000 arrests. That crackdown coming as a separate immigration operation is underway in Minnesota, that one targeting Somali immigrants who have been the subject of public scrutiny after a New York Times report detailing how fraud took root in pockets of the community, with some, quote, making small fortunes by defrauding government programs of more than $1 billion of taxpayer money during the pandemic. We're talking about dozens of people in a community of thousands, of course. Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota is here with me now. First of all, federal prosecutors say 59 people have been investigated in these schemes so far. Americans at large stole tens of billions of forms of aid during the pandemic all over the country. Minnesota's fraud scandal stands out, according to federal auditors. What are you hearing from investigators right now?
Well, I've been following the cases closely as they've gone through the courts, and we know that there are more indictments possibly coming.
Maybe she's following it so closely to possibly make sure that nobody she knows gets caught up in it? Maybe, allegedly, who knows?
I think that number might go up to 73 is what I'm hearing.
Okay. Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, you know, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
Does it have anything to do with these migrants coming here and getting anything they really want to be able to be in the United States? Getting support, getting help, getting to create their own communities where they don't assimilate into American culture? Does it have anything to do with that? Does it have anything to do with the handout culture that we seem to see taken over in Europe by these African migrants like the ones in Somalia, who probably bring the same culture, maybe, possibly, allegedly, got to keep myself safe, like we possibly see them bring to the United States? Does it have anything to do with that?
Now, obviously, whatever the ethnic group, the actions of a few dozen should not impugn an entire community of thousands of people. Okay, I want to make that very clear.
Now, while this is true, I bet you if Jake Tapper went to Minneapolis and went to these communities and these apartment complexes and these whole neighborhoods that are just taken over, and where a lot of the Somalians don't even speak English, I bet you he would not feel comfortable, despite his PC response that we're hearing right now.
President Trump has used this fraud to make rather, to me, shockingly bigoted comments about Somalis in general, including you, but the entire Somali community in Minnesota. He did it yesterday and he did it again today. Let's run some of that.
These Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. She should be thrown the hell out of our country. And most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota. She should not be, and her friends shouldn't be allowed. Frankly, they shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople, okay? They shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople because they don't represent the interests of our country.
Hit the like button if you agree with Trump. Now let's hear her response.
It's pretty shocking to hear it, although I don't know how shocked you are at this point anymore. But Somali immigrants In general, you in particular have been the target of his attacks for a long time. What's your response?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not shocked because we know that the president oftentimes resorts to very bigoted, xenophobic, Islamophobic, racist rhetoric when he is trying to scapegoat and deflect from the actual failures that he has himself. We know that this administration has not fulfilled the majority of the promises that they've made, whether it is bringing costs down, whether it is the tariffs that are decimating businesses in the United States, whether it is the possible war crimes that his defense secretary is committing. And so to me, it is important for us, one, to remind folks that we are Americans. We're not going anywhere, and we will continue to be in this country. And two, that Minnesotans are resilient, and we will continue to thrive.
Do you guys think she's a Minnesotan? She thinks she is. She tries to claim that she is. But in a clip I'm going to show you guys in a second when this interview is done, Somalia is still her home. Somalia is still the home of all these immigrants that are there in Minnesota and have taken over neighborhoods that I bet you Jake Tapper would not feel that comfortable in. I say that because I have been to some of these boroughs, at least in Europe, that are like this from what I've seen on video of Minneapolis. And I had to check myself if I was really comfortable. And I'm used to being in a lot of different situations, a lot of different cultures, a lot of different countries, and that can be tough.
What is the practical impact when a president of the United States demonizes an entire group of people based on ethnicity? And again, you can point to any ethnic group and find dozens of people in that ethnic group who are committing a particular crime. The mafia comes to mind, right? But you don't hear people saying that about Italians. They did 100 years ago, but they don't do it today. What is the practical effect on the Somali community when the president says things like that?
I mean, it creates fear. And there is a possible danger that a lot of the people who follow the president have exhibited violence in many cases, especially in my case, whenever he has said something about me that is derogatory or says I'm a threat to the country. I have gotten death threats. There are so many people that have been incarcerated over the years that have been encouraged by the president's words. And so there is fear for Somalis, not just in Minnesota, but across the country, that some of these people might attack and harm them.
Notice she doesn't refute the whole marrying her brother thing. I think if the president of the United States accuses me that I married my brother, I think that's one of the first things I would, especially me. My brother's like 6'5", he's a huge guy, and he's a guy. Not doing that. But if I got accused like her of marrying my brother, I feel like if that wasn't true, that would be the first thing I would refute. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you want to keep your reputation clean? It's interesting she doesn't make an effort to refute that at all on a major platform like CNN. But what does she make of the ICE raids that Trump and the Trump administration is now doing in Minnesota, where it's mostly Somalian immigrants? Is that offensive to you, Ilhan?
Ahead of the immigration crackdown in Minnesota, CNN asked the Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin about the remarks from the president. Here's what she had to say.
This is not about politics. This is about public safety. We saw what just happened last week with the terrorist attack against us here in our nation's capital, where one of our great heroes, Sarah Beckstrom, was killed. That's what the precipice of this was.
What's your response to that?
Well, it's certainly not. We know that Somalis, over 90% of them, are citizens of this country. Majority of them having born in the United States, and we know that if you are a criminal, you already have deportation orders, and there is an easy way for them to do that instead of creating this sort of fear where they are having raids. And today we saw them stopping citizens, and people were proving their citizenship by showing their passports. And so we know it has really nothing to do about keeping a community safe. It's actually terrorizing a community and creating fear.
And there's the big lie. You know, I know, everybody knows in the United States, you're not walking around with your passport. Most people don't even have passports. I bet a lot of the Somalians do, because even if they were born there, granted citizenship, I bet you they go back home, which is their home, which I'm going to show you in a second in a clip. Their home is Somalia, but nobody's carrying around their passport to prove their citizenship. Even if you have one. Who is going to walk around going to the grocery store, going to the gym with their passport? One of the most ridiculous lies she's put out, that Jake Tapper should attack. He should go right after that. But of course, no, can't do. Don't want to be seen as racist, xenophobic. My producer might not like me and get backlash when I get backstage. No. Can't attack Ilhan Omar and her home. Mind you, this speech was not given in English, and yet it was in Minneapolis. If that tells you anything about the state of Minneapolis, listen to what her real home is and who she fights for, despite being a United States elected congresswoman.
caawa aan fursad u helay madaxweynaha Soomaaliya
The Somalian president is our president.
madaxweyne Xasan Sheikh Maxamuud inaan maanta ku soo dhaweyno Minneapolis. aniga iyo madaxweynaha special relationship aan qabnaa. aniga adeeraan ugu wacaa, asigana gabarteeyu idhahaa. madaxweyne sidii qof kasta uu u yiri, mininkaaga waaye, ku soo dhawow Minneapolis. aad iyo aad aan ugu faraxsannahay in maanta madaxweynaheena aad tahay.
Our president, she says. They're in Minneapolis. They're in the United States.
Soomaaliya dadka meeshaan wada joogo dhan waa gurigooda. annaga ma dareensannihin in ay naga tahay meel naga fog. Soomaaliya wadnaheenay ku nooshahay, qalbigeennay ku jirtaa, maalin kasta aan ka fikirnaa Soomaaliya.
Somalia is our home. The Somalian president is our president. This is really what the Somalian immigrants in Minneapolis, a lot of them, I bet you a lot of them, truly believe. Where's their allegiance? Where is her allegiance if she's an elected congresswoman able to vote on laws, vote on things that go against the president of the United States? She has a lot of power. And look at where her allegiance is. If you made it this far in the video, comment one word you would put to describe Ilhan Omar. It's Sean Daniel here. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see that exact clip of the Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary going after a CNN host and explaining why Trump is doing this crackdown, check out this video right here, and I will see you there.